Hey everyone, I'm back with another little teaching myself video, and this is different because I'm not at the whiteboard, but I really felt like doodling lately, and I really enjoy art. It's definitely a preferred and enjoyable occupation for me, and I thought, you know what, I need to study, but I also want to doodle, so I just combined them. Today I'm going to be going over the Occupational Therapy Code of Conduct. I'm going to start off with beneficence on the top left right here. And beneficence has to do with your concern, well-being, and safety for the client. So anything that can benefit the client is how I think about it, because beneficial, benefit, beneficence, they all start with the same thing. And I just drill in well-being and safety of the client. But you also want to keep in mind that it includes defending their rights and as well as treating them appropriately on clinical need. So if that person no longer needs services based on your clinical judgment, but you're, deciding to keep them there, then that would be going against beneficence because it is no longer putting the client's benefit first if they don't need services anymore. So or treating them on what they appropriately need. So you wouldn't want to treat someone for arthritis if they have something else. That's just one way to look at it. Non-maleficence, that's a handful, but think of this as the opposite of beneficence. So anything that would be bad for the client, don't do it. So my first bullet says, don't hurt the patient. Don't date family. Don't date them. Don't exploit them or your relationship with them by any means. And avoid general conflicts of interest. So that goes back to dating their family or dating them or putting yourself in a position that may hurt the patient or harm your relationship with them on a, therapeutic and professional level. So avoid all of that. And also, if they're going through some sort of personal problem that they're sharing with you and saying like, my family problems are giving me stress and therefore it's impacting my ability to do well in therapy or concentrate, then you do want to address those with them. So finding a way to help them get through that is part of non-maleficence. So 3 is autonomy. So we have made it across the board over here. And autonomy is, when I think autonomy, you think of someone being very independent. But think of a person's rights. So respect the client's rights to self-determination, privacy, and confidentiality. So you shouldn't be coercing them or threatening them to get them to behave in therapy or comply with what you want. That's a big no. And it's okay for them to say no to therapy. You can't be you need more therapy or argue with them about that. That's their right as a client. And you need to respect that, right? That if they say, I don't want more therapy or I don't want to be part of this research study anymore, you have to accept that and respect that and can't keep pushing them or trying to change their mind. Another big thing you have to associate with autonomy is following Hipaa. So Hipaa, autonomy, think of a very independent hippo. I don't know. Whatever works for you, Hipaa and autonomy. So think about anything under Hipaa about confidentiality and about making sure that you are respecting the patient's rights to privacy and that you're not talking to other people about, their case or their personal information, or even when another family member or a friend is visiting them per se and they ask specific questions about your client's medical record, you need to make sure that you have gotten permission from your client to be able to share that information with them as well. Just because they're family, just because they're friends, it doesn't mean that you can just tell them everything that's going on with them at therapy or on their medical record. You have to make sure. Alrighty, so we're halfway done. Yay! This is so much better when I organize them on one page like this and kind of try to make it more condensed, but just easier for me to understand. Now we're on number 4, so over here with justice. So justice, think about like the law. Think about fairness and objectivity. You want to promote treating every client that you see on an objective level and on an equal level. So really, to me, a lot of what justice encompasses is just you doing your job. And things like being timely about getting your referrals in on time or billing correctly. Addressing your client's barriers. Maybe there are financial barriers. There's charity cases or pro bono, all of those things of trying to do what is best. You treat every single client with, you give it your all for all of them, but you also are keeping it very like equal and fair. So objective. And obtaining necessary approvals as well as refraining from accepting gifts. So this one is like kind of, I feel like the curveball in there that you don't necessarily think about. But if you think about it, accepting gifts can be really, can really sway your objectivity. Like, let's say you had, a client giving you lots of gifts and you were able to accept them, while you had other clients who were not giving you gifts. You might not be as objective to everyone because now you're kind of like, oh yeah, like this person has done so much for me or has given me so many things that I want to provide them with better or different services. So we can't have that happening. Like, so you want to refrain from gift accepting. So justice, objectivity, and also a few things about really just making sure you're billing, documenting, obtaining necessary approvals, and addressing client barriers. So moving on to veracity. Veracity, to me, is really about representing OT and our profession in a positive light. So you want to provide accurate and objective and comprehensive information. The main thing I take away from veracity is to be truthful. And this not only applies to your relationship with your clients, but also with your department, with your interdisciplinary team, with your supervisor, with your other OTs, with your other staff members. Everyone deserves veracity. That's such a weird way to say it, but you want to be honest, you want to be truthful. So those main things to me when you go down the list is you want to document accurately, like the time, the duration, what you're working on, all of that should be accurate and should be truthful. And you don't want to plagiarize. You want to give any credit owed to anyone on anything you work on. And you also want to disclose your errors. So if you did something wrong, make it clear that you did so that everything is very truthful and that everyone knows like up to date what's going on. So my little joke here is that I put example, I messed up, my bad, sad face, because I don't know if you can tell on the camera, but I wrote this whole section for justice and I screwed up and I had to stick a whole piece of paper on top of it. So, that's my little indicator of, hey, I screwed up and I'm telling you. You might not be able to see it on the camera, but it's there. So there's an example. Alrighty, so now we're on this last one over here, which is fidelity. Fidelity for me has been a hard word to remember just because I did not grow up using this word. The main word you want to associate fidelity to is respect. So RESPECT, find out what fidelity means to me, is a nice way to remember this. And it's all about fairness, integrity, and making sure that you safeguard everyone's private information. So everyone deserves this kind of fidelity and respect. This includes respecting your team members' roles and other professionals, as well as asking for exemption in a situation where you are a conflict of interest. Once you recognize that you are a conflict of interest, it's important to let your supervisor know so that someone else can step in and take care of the situation at hand with more respect and fairness. So that's something to note. Alright, we finished all 6 of them. I hope this video was helpful in you breaking down these principles. And if you haven't already, I highly suggest that you go ahead and read this paper on AOTA, which I will link below. Good luck, everyone!